Hello, welcome to UKGK TV. Today we've got a bit of a impromptu one because a friend of mine, Keith Cousins, has popped all the way up, and I thought I'd grab him for a quick
From that there London.
from that there London. I thought I'd grab him for a quick chat and see how he's getting on. As you all know, Keith had his own modelling company, and we're going to chat a bit about the industry because well, not a lot of people know this. But Keith was at the beginning. He was at the forefront of it when the clubhouse was about. I think when it Keith was it
Yeah, I was
moderator, was you
one of the non-American, and there was only two non-American mods,
on the clubhouse?
which was Ryan, who's Canadian,
Canadian.
and then there was I was offered to become an admin, so I was sort of I was sort of this side of the ocean, if you like.
Yeah. What for people that don't know what the clubhouse was? Clubhouse was the place to go before Facebook became available. It was like a website you'd log on, and you'd have different sections, wouldn't you?
It was a website as opposed to a Facebook page, which we use now, and part and parcel, and why the Clubhouse was so successful in its day, because it was it still runs to today, but the reason it was so successful is because it had a number of forums.
Yeah.
And as I was explaining to Dave earlier, those forums would not only were they, for example, the forum that I was an admin of or moderator on was the Heroes Emporium, which was all about superhero stuff. But there were different forums there was a help forum, as I was saying to you. You could actually ask questions and you get really good advice. And there was always a swap and sale forum, and there was the garage and the workshop forum, and so on and so on and so on. And it wasn't just based on models as well. There was also a forum for film, horror films, for example.
Yeah, you used to chat like.
So it was very, very interactive, which is probably a downside of social media now, because it doesn't seem to be so interactive as places like the Clubhouse. And respect to all the admin who are still out there, and those who are not anymore. But
So is it still? It's still going.
it's still going.
Are you still an admin on
flourishing.
there?
No, I ceased to be an admin a number of years ago, just for different reasons. You feel like you've done your time.
Yeah. Must be hard work though.
People don't realise,
because we have enough problems with UKGK, don't we?
Yeah, just being admin on the Facebook page is
crikey.
hard enough, but being an admin on a universal, worldwide website and platform, as you say,
Yeah.
there is so much that goes on.
Would you say that was the forerunner of the new Facebook groups like your UKGK, your Jaeger Army, your stuff like that?
All those early sites that we used to run in the late 90s and onwards are the forerunners of social media and Facebook pages.
Yeah. Now
but they were, and I'll keep going on to the Clubhouse because it's what I know about. There is so much that goes on, which is why you have so many admin and so many mods. And there are so many problems because that's human nature.
People don't see that, though, do they?
No, people see the nice shiny surface, or they'll come in and they'll see a poster and a thread that might be going screwy, skew with.
Yeah.
They don't see what's going on behind. But
I mean, me and you talk quite regular because obviously we have to discuss things we're quite keen on. We have a particular set of rules on UKGK. They're up there for you to see. Anybody has any issues, contact me at Keith or any other mods. We're the most active, I might add.
not just saying that.
But we're the most active.
We are the most
but we are. It does take a lot of work behind the scenes. We have had a lot of aggro, really, haven't we? For nothing, really, haven't we? We've had a lot of aggro for silly aggro, haven't we, really?
I keep saying it's human nature, but I'm not allowed to swear, am I?
No, not if you can help it.
People are, as you know, people are people. You run into awkward people every day, don't you?
Do you know
it's just that the interweb
promotes them.
Well, as I said to you,
gives them internet muscles, doesn't it?
Yeah, as Mike Tyson says,
Yeah.
too many people will get
punched in the mouth.
Get leery on social media because they've not had a smack in the mouth.
Yeah,
and
I'm afraid so.
And that's what Mike Tyson in the real world. Respect to Mike Tyson.
You've got to do it. I mean, what you guys don't understand is we can, and I've known Keith a long time, and to be fair, he's had a lot of stick, and we've both had stick. Behind the scenes, we're of a kind of that generation where any issues that we arise, we deal with it, and the general public
I think what
shouldn't
it is,
need to see it, should
I
they,
think what it
really?
is definitely for me personally. I don't like soft soaping people.
No.
And you'll get it whether you like it or not. You'll get my not necessarily opinion, but you'll get it the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, I won't soft soap it. I won't give you the.
Yeah. Yeah, you say it like it is. I mean,
You say it like it is, yeah. And
You say it
because
like
what's
it
the
is.
point of not?
yeah, you
You
say
know,
it like it is.
Don't run round in circles.
And to
don't
be
beat about the
honest,
bush.
we're dealing with a lot of people that's in quite a solitary
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you actually tell them
Yeah.
we can't do that, and there's a reason we tell people, we try not to, but
This
there's
is-
a reason we do.
This is the other thing. People don't like to be told.
That's it. That's the way
If
it's coming.
somebody does something and
Yeah.
it's, maybe is it against the rules, or it's a little bit iffy, or maybe that's a dodgy picture, or maybe and you tell them it's it's not acceptable, it's against the rules in a nice pleasant way, because I can be pleasant in a nice pleasant way
Sometimes, mate.
in a nice pleasant way. People don't like being told, and I just think
Yeah, it's difficult. It's very
I just think,
difficult.
well, gee, what job are you in? Because
It's always the same, mate. It's always the same with people. I mean, one of the most, and
I can accept people not wanting to be told, but it's then how they react to it,
Yeah,
and how they
yeah.
keep coming back, and they keep trying to.
it's almost like
just
bullying, isn't
accept
it?
it.
It's almost bullying, isn't it? Almost bullying.
Just accept it if you don't like
One
it.
of the big things I know we didn't come on to talk about the running of the page, but
No.
it's
No,
apparent
no,
it's
no.
it's good. It's good to talk about. One of the major problems we have on UKGK is people blocking admins. Now you might think, well, what's that all about? People, you're not going to believe this, but people will block the admins and then expect their product to be promoted on our page. Now, we've got this in place with all the admins. If you block the admins, we can't promote your stuff. Now, the amount of stick that me and Keith have had of that is unbelievable. To me, it's that's right, isn't it?
I just get fed up
With that.
I just get fed up with writing to people, messaging people, explaining, and to the degree now where sometimes it will just get deleted.
Yeah.
Because it takes time out of my life, it takes time out of your life, it takes time out of some of the admins when
And we don't get paid for it, do we?
no.
Let's be honest, we
No,
don't
no.
get paid.
The
We've all
rules
got
are there.
families.
There are loads of sites. As I keep saying, you want to do your whatever it is you're putting up, your STL.
That's another one.
or whatever it is. There are hundreds and hundreds of sites out there. Go and show
Away you go.
show your illegal
Download.
STL files over there. Don't
Go with it.
Don't.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, we're sailing
This
into
is
that
what
territory.
this is what it's about. UKGK.
It is.
This is what it's about.
It
It's
is.
about supporting the hobby. It's about supporting UK sculptors and producers. This is what it's about. I understand there are different areas. If you want to do all that other malarkey, that's fine. You fill your boots.
We're not bothered, are we? Really? We just don't. We just do.
No.
We just. To be fair, I think it's the policing, in it. That's the problem. We haven't got time. We haven't got time,
Yeah.
guys. We haven't got time. We haven't got time. Anyway, back on to what we're here today for.
Yep.
Keith dipped his toe. When did I meet you first time? Was it Memo?
Where?
When Memo? Many moons
so-
ago, wasn't it? We both had hair then, didn't we?
I've still got hair. It's just. I haven't lost my hair. It's in a box under the bed. It's in a
Didn't
little,
we?
it's in a
We
little
had
shoebox.
we had hair in them days, didn't we?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Was it memorabilia? Was it the pure art time? Did you come with
Yeah, I
Wolfie?
had one of the first pure at heart kids.
Did you
didn't
come
I?
with Wolfie?
Yeah, I did.
You
yeah.
did, yeah. So we met him.
So it was at Memrose
Christ, it was
some-
20, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
So I've known Keith for 30
You still owe
years.
me that kit, by the way.
I do. I still owe him a kit. So it's among other things. But there you go. But we've been going. We've known each other for 30 years. And was it how long ago did you dip your toes in the water with producing? What made you produce first? Before, and we know you're not doing it at the moment, but what made you get into it in the first place?
I think it's probably the same as the same reason most producers get in, because you think you can put a piece out there that people like.
Yep.
Or maybe that piece isn't in production. The character or that genre isn't in production. So you think, well, I'll have a go at that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then I see
Pieces out there that you're not happy with.
yeah, I just see, and I think, well, if I can't do better than that, I need to be,
I'll
But
explain that
that's
to
not the
you.
only
I'll
reason.
explain that to you. For anybody that hasn't bought one of Keith's kits, as a producer and probably the biggest producer in the UK, you're not going to get a better piece than Keith's. Keith's is done with absolute love and attention. It's probably one of the best cast kits you're ever going to get, and I don't say that lightly. There's two people. There's two people that I know that are currently doing it, and maybe I might be wrong on. Well, both of you aren't doing it actually, and it's Keith and Mark Brocard. These guys are amazing, and that's in the polyurethane. No disrespect to Deck and all them guys that were doing it in the polyurethane side of it. These two guys were up there.
Saying about the only reason being so for start off, I would never send out anything that I wouldn't want to receive myself, and that was always my what I aspired to. That's what I want to do. That was just the way forward for me. However, I learned from people like Decker, and Mark.
Big shout out to Decker.
Yeah, of course. Who did it for donkey's years, and and other producers. John Diaz is another guy.
John's a good guy.
John Tuckey. John Tuckey, and God bless his soul. John Tuckey and I would always be messing each, well, not always, but quite often. And all these guys, John Diaz, John Tuckey, Decker, always there with help and assistance.
Yeah. To get you to that level that you were.
Yeah, when you first step in, because when you first step into it, you haven't got a clue.
Have you?
You look at the YouTube videos and none of it really.
Yeah, but credit where credit's due, Keith. I've sold some of your stuff after you've supplied me with some of it, and it's amazing. There's no work on it. There's no honest guys. I can't say enough praise. It's stuff when you get it. It's straight out of the box together. It fits. It's numbered. It's signed. Oh, I don't even think you have to wash them, do you? Have you washed? Have you?
No, you'd probably have to wash them. But then again, the reason of that being was because they're such a low run. Whereas somebody like yourself, and I'm not saying your mould and casting is below par, because it's not. But when you've got a high volume of reasonably high volume
traffic,
of kits going out, whereas I can concentrate more on prepping. But then,
Are the stories true? That every single kit, you sit there and you do it and you polish it until it's immaculate? I would say in your underpants, but we can't say that.
No, David, because I don't have to, because the moulds are good enough.
Right, okay.
The finest fingernail will,
but you
will
make
remove the seams.
You make. He says that with a straight face as well. You say that, but you took a lot of pride. You really did. The stuff's brilliant. I've got to.
I think it's just part and parcel of who we are. I'm a bit OCD-ish, if you like. So it's got to be good enough for me. If it's not good enough for me, it's not going out. I've thrown stuff away. At one of the shows we did, I had a box of seconds. Cheers for everyone who bought the seconds, because they were pieces I thought,
and there was hardly anything wrong with them.
Some of them were a bit iffy, but really? Even so, they were like £10.
Yeah, but Keith, you're thinking about when we started years ago. Come on, mate. What was the casting like in them days? We're spoiling them now, aren't we? We're spoiling them.
Let's talk about that, shall we?
Yes, you will.
So,
when you first started,
gone are the days of getting a kit, whether it's coming from the States or wherever it's coming from, and you open the box, and it's got seam lines, and it's got pour spouts, and it's got the odd pinhole, or it's got the odd bit missing.
The odd bit of milliput where they filled it as well.
That was part and parcel of building and getting into a model kit. That was part and parcel of it. You might have a pour spout as long as the arm, some of those Bruce Lee kits by Jaguar.
They genuinely were like this. We're not making this up. We're genuinely in our day.
But they were garage kits. They were made in garages or similar. Yeah. They weren't mass produced in China or one of the super duper factories that you can get these nice cheap Universal. Anyway, it was part and parcel of building a kit.
Of the job in the day, wasn't it?
Prep. But people now.
You don't want to do it, did he?
I don't want
to. Yeah, but that gets me to the next point. Have we gone from a hobby of kit builders to a hobby of painters?
Well,
I mean, I don't expect rubbish to go out.
No.
There's got to be a little bit. There's got to be a bit of give and take, hasn't there?
I like to see people doing. I used to do a lot of. So I'd get the Aurora kits, and Diceman used to do the different heads. So did Tom Parker do the different heads, and I would make Aurora kits, different Batman Aurora kits with different heads and different bits and pieces, and as I say, Tom Parker did lots of little bits and little brass buckles and all sorts of stuff, and I love doing that.
You change everything,
customising it.
Yeah, customise it.
For me to paint, not to then be produced, because obviously that's recasting and no one does that. And so you'd have your own personal piece, and I like to see that. And now, for example, at the moment, Glyn Derbyshire, he's doing a Bruce Lee kit where he's changing the pose on the arms. Now, I love to see that.
Yeah, it's
because
putting his own spin
his
on
own
it.
spin. It's putting his own
that's what it's
personal
about,
touch,
mate, isn't it?
own personal touch. And it's nice to see somebody who's not afraid to get the sandpaper out and change the position and do the filling and the sanding.
Yeah.
I think people do. There's nothing wrong with painting the kit out of the box. That's fine.
In my experience, it has changed quite dramatically. The hobby, it's changed from kit builders to actually kit painters. I'm not saying, guys, that you should have to, repair half-inch gaps. I'm not saying that. No. But I'm saying some of the stuff you've got to meet us halfway, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's nice to have a challenge as well. I mean, it's nice to get something out of a box and paint it, and
cut it up and.
But it's even nicer. Well, personally speaking, of course, it's even nicer to get something out and maybe do a bit work on it and put a bit of yourself into it. And the prep. And I know a lot of people do actually like prep. Some of the again, old school people who've been in the hobby for 20 years.
A long time, yeah.
Whatever, 5 years plus, whatever. Don't mind a bit of prep and enjoy putting their heart and soul into the prep. And don't get me wrong, some of the kits where you've got the join line of a leg halfway through the fire, getting that to sit together and to look seamless takes days and days and days. But it's so worth it in the end.
Now I know Keith does some work for me. He's basically when we took over the Rebel resin stuff, I basically had a chat with Keith, and Keith took a load of these away. Was it the Fly, the Mummy, Ghoul, White Zombie?
Yeah.
Now these weren't amazing when the casts weren't that we got, and then I said to Keith, mate, there's a man to do it. So Keith took them away and he cleaned them and he moulded them and got them ready for me to cast, and they're absolutely amazing now. So proof is in the pudding.
It's got to be a good sculpt to start with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you start with a
rubbish,
I'm trying to not use swear words.
I know it's first time he's gone 5 minutes without swearing. It's amazing.
If you start with a not so good piece, it doesn't matter what you do to it, it's always going to be a not so good piece. It can come out and it can be moulded and cast as clean as you like. If it's a want for a better word, a rubbish sculpt, it's not going to make any difference. However, with the Rebel resin, and it was Tony, wasn't it?
Tony, God bless him.
Yeah,
He's no longer with us. Tony isn't.
But they were all good sculpts.
So you just tidied him up and that's being very flippant.
Well, bless him. Tony moulded those, and he did the best
of his ability.
And that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But the masters, we'll call them masters, the casts that I worked on, submasters that I worked on when they became your pieces. It did take a bit of work, but maybe not.
You enjoy that though, don't you? You enjoy that stuff. Come on, that you like doing.
Because
that.
I know what it's going to look like when it's cast.
Yeah,
I know that when I've prepped it to my level. When I say my level, I'm saying like I'm.
Yeah.
But to something that
something
makes
you're
me
happy with.
Yeah.
Makes you happy.
Once it's prepped to that level, and then I start to put it in the clay and get it ready for
silicone.
For the silicone part of the mould. Yeah. I know it's going to come out when that mould's complete, and we got the new resin in, which works so much better. But when it's done, the casts are going to come out really, really nice. And I don't think I've been disappointed yet.
No, I haven't.
I don't think.
No.
One or two of them have been were more difficult. For example, the base on the Mummy, the ramp.
Yeah.
On the Mummy was
that's challenging, isn't it?
And I'd probably change it slightly if I was to do it again, which I never will do. But they'll come out pretty good. But you only get out what you put in. If that prep work wasn't done, you'd still end up with, even though the sculpts are very nice, you'd still end up with a rubbish. I mean, the Mummy, for example, the Mummy figure of the Mummy, that took so much prep.
to get the original seam lines off.
Well, as best as you can, because you can never completely eradicate it.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you'd lose all the detail. So
Yeah.
you've got to do what you can with little bits of Aves is my favourite for doing
You go to filler. That's Ave.
You know, and
Aves is like a two-part epoxy. Two-part epoxy that
like Milliput, but much nicer.
Nicer finish, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what the taxidermists use. So check out Aves. You know, that recommended by Keithy.
Again, it's an American product, so getting it over here can be a bit hit and miss.
But expensive as well, isn't it?
Well, everything's gone up. I mean,
So back to let me get this right. It was originally Keithy Boys Productions.
Keithy Boy Productions was how it started about 10 years ago.
Okay. And you did bits and pieces yourself.
Basic stuff. I mean, you got to remember, I couldn't. Before I started, I couldn't even mould a simple flat bass. You know, Sean Main, Main.
Yeah, Main. Yeah.
Sean Main, another lovely guy, did some of my car. He did a couple of basses for me. Because I didn't even know how to mould a flat bass
and degas it, and
I had no idea. So you rely on people and saying I'd seen what Sean had done, and I thought, oh right, okay, so that's how he's doing it, and he did 2 or 3 pieces for me.
So talk us through then. So you were originally Keithy Boy. You started off doing a few pieces yourself, and then you went on to pay people to do some sculpts for you.
So the first pieces I did, I think, I did a David Bowie third scale wall hanger, which was sculpted by, I can't remember his name now. So that was the first one I did. I actually bought the master and the mould. Actually, I didn't buy a master. I just got a mould off him, which was the Martino Catalano, I think his name.
That's
He's a lovely guy. Again, a lovely guy. Check out his site. He's a wonderful sculptor. And it was just a case, something I had never done. Worked in polyester resin.
Polyester,
which is,
hey, that stuff. Remember them good old days?
It was not a bad, reasonable price, but it stunk to high heaven. And all my kits that I've ever done have been done in my kitchen.
A little kitchen in his apartment.
Hence why
in London.
Hence why I'm single in that there London.
That there London. You know, us Northerners, we'd never go there, but I can guarantee.
So everything is done in my kitchen. Was my workshop. So every day, when you finished, you got to wipe down the surfaces and blah 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 blah. But anyway, so the first one was polyester resin, slushing it around the mold. I didn't know how to do this. It's only
polyester in that kitchen.
Polyester, wow. Yeah, it stunk.
Let me tell you guys, if you viewers, the difference between polyester and polyurethane is polyester as a catalyst, and it stinks. It absolutely stinks.
The ratio is, the catalyst, you only put sort of a tiny bit of catalyst into it.
It smells, trust me. It does smell. And it dries and it's like cold cast and it's quite brittle. Yeah. Polyurethane, which is what we moved on to, is the 2-part one. And it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And the odour's not as much. And it's more flexible, would you say?
It's more workable.
But it's more expensive than polyester.
Yeah.
So anyway,
doing that with the Bowie was an open mould, so you'd slush the polyester around, and
that's why you've got no air. It's melted all your hair.
You'd have to do that 2 or 3, give it 2 or 3 coats, but I can still remember that was probably one of the first ones I did.
Yeah, but did you not do a bit of sculpting yourself though?
Yeah,
you did that Tex Avery, didn't you?
I've done a couple. I did a Tex Avery
face hugger, not face hugger. Chest burster.
I did chest burster, and I did the
eggs,
the Homer.
Oh yeah,
Homer pinhead.
Somebody bought one of them. Somebody bought one of them the other day.
I actually sold one. Yeah.
So anyway, going through Keithy Boys, tell me about what happened where you went with Keithy Boys. So you did quite a few.
Yeah,
you then moved on.
I had different people. I had some Michael. I had a Michael Batman, and I had Paul Fay, Plax. And
so you were
Steve Peacock did some pieces for me, and
now I know you did
Andy Copeland.
Now I know you did a run with Steve Peacock because it was close to your heart, wasn't it? You decided you were going to go down the avenue.
One of my favourite horror genres is Hellraiser. The Hellraiser series of films and whatever. I don't know. It's just. I guess it takes me back. I guess that's why we all do this, is because it takes us back and it reminds us. Whatever kit you want to pick in the Ray Harryhausen stuff takes you back to when you were a kid,
I bet there's film in it.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened with me. It was the Hellraiser stuff, and I collect old Hellraiser kits. So if anyone's got any,
Contact.
not the Screaming, I got all those. But any
Contact
other
Keith.
of the old Scorpion kits, for example, Camera Head, let us know. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll go there. And my first venture into that was with help again from Stuart Little. And Stuart Little, if you don't know, lives in Welsh Wales. And he did he sculpts and he casts. He used to work in the casting industry.
Creative casting, right?
Creative casting, yeah.
Nice guy.
And he did a pinhead, sculpted and moulded and cast a pinhead and a chatterer. And he had those at one of the shows, and he was quite successful in selling those because they're lovely pieces. And then they became my pieces. Stuart let me have those.
Then you carried on that line.
That kind of set me off. Yeah, that started setting me off. Big up to Stuart because he's a lovely fella.
Yeah, he is a nice fella. Really nice fella.
Stay strong, mate. And that's kind of where it started off. And then my what I wanted to do with the Hellraiser series of busts is it was always going in my mind. It was always going to be as many as I could do, and I would use different sculptors as well along the way. So Stuart.
But keep it on kind of uniform size and style.
Well, yeah, roughly the same size. Roughly, I mean, there's most of them are quarter scale. A couple of them are probably one of them is definitely big. Smaller.
Yeah,
which is one that came from.
Did you have that Spike guy? That.
Yeah, so Spike was a slightly smaller one.
Yeah.
Again, that came from. God, I'm getting terrible.
It was some Charlie, wasn't it?
Yeah, Charlie Duncan in the States.
Yeah.
Sculpted by. Oh man,
I can't help you. You're
know
going to get shot now. Please feel free to put it in the
Chris
comments.
Elizardo.
That Chris
Elizardo. When he was doing traditional sculpting, we have to call it traditional sculpting now.
Yeah, that's another. We'll do that again.
I mean, Chris does a lot of digital sculpting as well now. But bless him. But Chris Elizardo, that was slightly smaller.
Yeah,
but they all fit on the same base. Or I did a new base. Eventually, I did a new base, a sharper base.
So how did it go then? Were they relatively successful? I knew you used to say you had your Hellraiser faithful.
Yeah, and again, big up the Hellraiser faithful. Big up the guys who would. The reason another bust was produced after the last one was because I knew I would sell at least X amount, 4 or 5, which was just enough. And without those people, without those guys, I won't name names, you know who you are, without those guys continually buying the Hellraiser bus, it allowed me to put the money back in to do another bus.
Of course, because you can't just chuck the money at it, can you, really? No. I think that's...
No, you're going to... Well, as you know.
Yeah. So basically, you went from Keithy Boy, you went down the Hellraiser route, Steve did quite a few for you.
Steve did...
you changed your name.
4 or 5.
What was the rationale behind that?
Well, the rationale was, I don't know, I felt I was getting, I'd want the name changed because I felt it was more in line with what I was doing. Demented Dervish.
What did you change your name to, if you want to enlighten us with it?
Of Demented Dervish Studios.
Demented Dervish.
Because everyone was doing studios, so I thought, well, I'll have one. Demented Dervish.
So he completely rebranded.
So I rebranded, probably a bit late in the game, if I'm honest with you, because Keithy Boy went, there's a page out there on which I can't close down for some reason. That Meta Suite, Business Suite. Oh, a nightmare. Because all my stuff's on there, the Keithy Boy stuff's on there. And that's why I just rebranded. I felt it was better, it was a good design.
So what kits did Demented Dervish put out? Was it they took over Keithy Boy?
Yeah, they took over.
So Keithy Boy.
But we also with the Demented Dervish stuff. So with the introduction of me meeting Andy Copeland and Andy doing some pieces for me, some digital sculpts, which were then printed out and then moulded and cast.
Which ones were they?
They were. What was the first one Andy did for me?
Female.
Uncle Frank. The Hellraiser Uncle Frank bust, which is
sells loads.
Lovely piece.
Sells loads.
Who I met,
Oliver
loads. Smith, the actor. I met him a couple of weeks ago again. Second time, loved it. Got him to sign the back of it. Gave him I've got a little 1/6 size as well.
Oh right.
Which I bronzed up for him and gave him that. He was over the moon with it.
Great stuff.
Got his daughter's phone number, which doesn't work. Anyway. Lovely fella. But yeah, sorry, Andy Copeland, Uncle Frank, and then he did the Stormtrooper kit for me, the large
Sexy pin-up
scale.
one.
Yeah, based on a photograph, which it's quite size, isn't it? It's about.
Yeah. It's like
it's quite.
It's like a pin-up sexy
quite big.
Stormtrooper.
It's nothing like anyone else's.
No, not at all.
It's quite big.
Yeah.
And
then you did you do the one, the Alice
we did-
Cooper? No, you did the...
No, we did
Julia.
the captain. Doug Bradley is the captain.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Elliot Spencer,
Yeah.
which again I painted up and gave to Doug
Last
Bradley
year, wasn't it?
at the Horicon. Yeah, he signed mine and Jay's, and
Over the moon with it, he was.
let me tell you what a nice guy Doug Bradley is. But he must get cheesed off signing pinhead after pinhead after pinhead after pinhead.
But he really liked that
So
one.
when
didn't
you give him something different, when you show him something different, and you start talking about it, and his eyes light up, and and he says this was the part of the film that he kind of realizes when he this was the start of him becoming Pinhead.
Right.
When he realized his survivor's guilt, because it was First World War, and here's Captain Elliot Spencer survived that, and it was the guilt of having survived that that he then started to explore the darker side of life.
Okay. But he was over the
And
moon, wasn't he?
Yeah,
She loved it.
Yeah, and he couldn't stop him talking.
Good. Well, that's good.
And I've met him numerous times because he now lives in the States, in Philadelphia. But I met Doug over here. He was always at the conventions, wasn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And he's a lovely fella, but sometimes it can be hard to get to interact. But that particular day at that Horicon, when,
It was a good
when
day.
3 or
Good
4
day.
of the Cenobites were there, they were all bang on.
Good. And then that's
Bang
the
on.
perfect endorsement, and it can't get better than that, Keith.
You get
So what went wrong then? Why? Just to explain to everyone, Keith at the moment is not doing anything. I'm trying to convince him that he should, but he's not doing anything. So what happened? Why did it go?
I haven't done anything for well over a year now, as you know.
Yeah.
Where are we with
Why did it
Christmas?
go wrong, Keith? Because the stuff's brilliant. You're getting the feedback off.
I don't think people realise what it takes to produce just one piece.
The cost or the effort.
Well, for a start, you can look at the costs. You've got to pay. You have to pay sculpting fees and casting fees and moulding fees and resin fees. So, and you have to look at what you've outlaid, and then what you can charge to get that money, just to get that money back.
Yeah.
You might look at selling 10 pieces, a minimum of 10 pieces,
To cover your costs.
to cover your costs. And when you're only selling 5.
Yeah, you're out of pocket every time.
You're
aren't
out of
you?
pocket every time.
That's fair play.
And you
Fair
can,
play, Keith. Fair play.
it can be as good as you like, And I know everybody's got their own tastes, and it is about finding the right piece. I have had a couple of really good pieces,
Yeah.
that absolutely flew.
Which ones?
Hellgirl, the busty
Yeah.
Hellgirl figure,
Yeah.
which was by Sebastian Livolsky.
Yeah.
In France. Big up Sebastian, another good sculptor. Who also did the
But you've had some turkeys as well, have you? They're the
I
ones
don't know
that
if
do
you
the
call them-
damage. They're the
I don't
ones
know
that
if you
do the
call them
damage,
turkeys,
aren't
just
they?
ones that people, as I say, the Hellraiser are faithful. Thankfully they were there. But other pieces, and I look at pieces and I just think I don't get it.
No.
We've
had-
some, you especially when you see
Some stuff.
especially when you see
that's-
the price of stuff in the States.
Oh,
We were discussing this.
yeah, we were, yeah.
How people, you see the price of a 1/6 scale kit or even bust, and you think, God, that's so
Treble.
much money.
Treble at what we pay.
Easy.
I feel embarrassed. Well, I feel bad, but I think we're stuck in a time where of a certain age, I feel embarrassed at charging ridiculous amounts of money for this stuff. I mean, but then again, it is limited run, and you're like me. We have it in our head what we want to sell it for. It probably
But
losing.
let me
Probably losing
let me
money
just tell
on
you
that.
this: if you ever come across any old magazines, go back 20,
Yeah.
20 odd
I know what
years,
you're going to say.
You find Comic Miniatures catalogues, which we've all got them somewhere. Well, I'm going back to the older, obviously the older guys, and you look what killer kits were going. For example, a 1/6 scale killer kit was going for then.
Same price.
It goes for the same price 25 years
Scary.
later. Now that is unbelievable, considering the cost of living prices, the price of the raw
Resin.
materials.
We had this
forget about
conversation,
how
didn't
much
we?
time you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the time as a producer, and every producer will tell you this, and sculptor will tell you this. The hours, the days, the weeks you put into producing a piece, it don't just happen overnight.
Yeah. So we're not the most. We are not. Let's get this right. Let's get this out there. Killer Kits and Keithy Boy, when he was doing it, we weren't the most expensive on the market.
Never.
There was people working out of the UK that were charging double what we charge.
Yeah.
Look, I'm fortunate that I've got a big arsenal behind me that cushions.
A big what?
Arsenal.
Oh, Arsenal.
That as well. A big range of kits, but we've got. It covers. It helps me. It cushions the blow.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying, financially, it was beginning to come a nightmare. I know,
but it always has been for me personally, and probably for a lot of producers. The problem is not the problem. It's when you start, you have to understand there are going to be fees. Like that's not the problem. The people who, and this isn't knocking. I'm not knocking anyone here. I'm just saying it as it is.
Yeah.
If you haven't got to pay for a start, a sculpting fee.
Oh God.
You're quid's in.
You're minted.
You've
been
quid's
minted.
in.
I've been minted.
You know, that's one of the biggest things. You know,
You've got to pay it.
But if you can sculpt and mould and cast and produce,
your quid's in.
You're laughing.
Quid's
and you know, respect to the people who do it.
Yeah.
You know, naming no names, but guys who you are, totally respect.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish I could sculpt to that level.
Me too. I'd be driving around in a big Range Rover now if I could do that. The amount of money I've spent on sculptures.
Yeah.
But you've got to pay for it. I can't do it, so you've got to pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
So basically, the financial thing was that the big aspect or the only aspect, do you think, or was it the fact
wasn't
that
the only aspect? No,
I mean, we're moving into
dodgy territory.
Yeah, we are.
It wasn't the only aspect.
So I know we got a lot of stick about the 3D stuff when it first came. We're not going to go into that. We did mention it, but did the 3D stuff have effect to you?
It's affected everybody, isn't it? It's affected.
You were talking about eBay the other day earlier, weren't you?
Right, so let's go. As I was saying to Dave earlier, you know, back in the mid '90s, late '90s, eBay when it kicked off, when it started there, it was all a lot of it was Tyree casts, whether it be vinyls or resin parts. I mean, even Narin, don't forget, used to have some dodgy.
Something was going on a bit. Yeah.
Let's not. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not going to tell you. You know, even the.
Yeah, but it was.
However, so that was back then.
It was a problem.
Now, and now when you look on eBay, just using eBay as an example, you know, it's STL 3D prints, which I'm not knocking it. The 3D digital sculpting is fine. There's some really nice 3D sculpts. You know, some of the digital sculptors are amazing, and again, as we've always said, it's just another tool. Yeah. You know, and.
But if it's your
for the
thing,
likes of like Jesse in the States, he uses some wonderful people to give him his sculpts and his prints, and then he moulds from that, which a lot of us do now. You know, a lot of people do. I did for the last five or six pieces I did from Andy Copeland, for example. You know, it's just another way of using the technology we've got. But the trouble with eBay is there are just so many, and it's not just the illegal
file sharing
and what have you, which is just a modern type of recasting. I don't care if you believe me or not, it is. You know, you're still stealing. If you're sharing files, you're still stealing from the original sculptor. However, what gets me on eBay is the pornographic ones.
There's loads,
and I was saying to you the other day, I saw a figure. I won't say what the figure was. There was a female figure, and you could buy it in 4 states of undress. You know, I saw one kit on there that had 2 males and 1 female, and I won't say what they were doing, but use your loaf what they were doing. Little carefully placed stickers over. It was shocking.
People, eBay seems to be the place that abuses it, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
I don't know how they get. I mean, they put a little red dots over stuff, don't they? But to
smiley
me,
face or whatever.
Yeah. But do you really want to buy that filth? Oh, obviously you do, because
it's unfortunately it's the world we live in. Unfortunately,
it is. But the world of digital sculpting, or I shouldn't say that, I should say STL file sharing and whatever, it just made it more accessible to the masses, you know.
Welcome back. Just a short break there. So we were talking about Demented Dervish and the 3Ds
Yeah.
and eBay and stuff.
Yep.
So it basically was an accumulation of everything, was it?
Yeah, there's yes.
And that's
Yeah.
so. What was the okay? Well, moving on.
Yeah.
So what was your favourite piece of yours that you did? What was the favourite piece that you did of yours? Putting you on the spot now because you're going to offend all the other sculptors,
Man.
aren't you?
Yeah, that's the trouble because and they're all great. All the pieces. Well, in my obviously,
Which was your most
wouldn't have
favourite
done
though?
them.
Which is the most favourite?
For different reasons, there's different pieces of favourites for different reasons. The Uncle Frank that Andy Copeland did, the digital sculpt that Andy did for me.
That was one of your faves, was it?
It was because it's so bang on. It is. If you ever see the film or the posters and then you meet the guy and Oliver Smith, the actor, it is so bang on, and it's the look. He's just nailed it. I totally nailed it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a really nice one. That one. But surprised no one ever did that. I mean, it's really bizarre. Surprised nobody done it before.
There is an Uncle Frank that John Diaz put out, a figure.
All right. You got that one?
A number of years ago.
Mm.
But that's the only other one I've seen. There is, of course, a printed version, an STL printed version, which you'd have seen
Which you could get at any pub or fish and chip shop where you want for 15 quid. True. I'm not offending anyone. It's the truth.
It is shockingly bad. But Andy's obviously
Andy's is good.
And he's totally
Andy's is
nailed
good.
it.
Andy's
One of my
good.
favourite pieces, one of the good seller, a good seller that one. So thanks to Andy Copeland for that. And all those people, and the people who have bought it. I won't say all those people, but for those who did put their hand in their pocket and keep a small producer going.
So, do you think you'll ever resume the resin again? Get back.
But as I said to you before, part and parcel of it as well is I live in that there London in a little flat, and my kitchen was my workshop.
Yeah,
and it's just not. Although I did it for a good number of years, it's just not practical to have a garage.
But if you moved, I
workshop.
know you were speaking to me about potentially moving at some point. If you moved and had a nice garage, would it not ignite them?
I don't know. I mean, at the moment, where I am a year and a bit down the road from the last piece I produced, which was the Alice Cooper bust, again by Andy Copeland, very nice sculpt. Thank you very much, Andy. It's a year plus since I've done that one, and if I'm being totally honest, I'm sort of glad to be out of it at the moment. That's how I feel at the moment.
Why is that? Because
because all the pressures, and you know what it's like.
Yeah.
But just trying to make it all work and all click, and then how can I put it? As I said to you before, I don't.
There's got to be a reward at the end, and if there's no reward, it's not worth doing, is it?
Yeah, I mean, there are different rewards for different things. It would be nice to break even on every piece, so that it then allows you to put that money into another piece. That's one of the things. But it's also you put your heart and soul into putting these pieces out there. The hours, the days, the weeks that it takes you to produce one piece, and it's got a bit of you. And when you see it, I won't say flop, but when you see it not doing what it should do, you kind of do think, well, what am I?
How many times have I said to you though? How many times have you been here and you fetch something and I go, wow, that's really good, and you.
Yeah, I know
is
that.
it just?
I know. And you know that.
Yeah, I know.
And I would say that probably everyone who's ever dealt with
Keithy
Boy Productions or Demented Dervish Studios and bought any piece that I've put out, and not only any piece but also the customer service, I try to get the pieces to people as soon as blah 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 blah. We'll probably say that's even the ones that have gone to the States. Which isn't many, if I'm honest, but probably 3 or 4 bits that have gone to the States that people over there have been over the moon. But it's breaking that market. It's getting away from... People don't know what to expect. People deal with you. They know what they're getting.
Yeah.
When you're trying to convince people, well, here's a piece, and they'll go, yeah, I like to look at that, but what holds them back is not knowing
the unknown,
the service. Yeah, not the unknown. It's about... branding again, isn't it? It's about, as I said to you before, being off brand or being on brand.
Yeah,
people stick to brand.
Yeah,
Apple, Levi's, Coke.
Yeah, I mean we've got it in the to be fair, Keith, we've got branding in the model industry, haven't we? We've got people that'll only buy a particular type of kit, haven't we? And unless it's sculpted.
See, that's
by,
a whole other new conversation.
That's
That's another video where you're going to upset, or I would.
Yeah. Branding.
I'd probably upset.
People do tend to brand and buy, and they'll buy off one sculptor, or they'll buy a particular, and they'll buy this.
Or they'll only buy one side of the Atlantic.
Oh,
and
God.
And now, and it's okay. Maybe to a degree that's more understandable now, due to costs and shipping fees. However, let me just tell you, people in the US, it's cheaper going out to you than it is coming back to us. So just bear that in mind if you're thinking about buying a piece from the UK. The shipping is less going your way. You know, anybody who's ever bought anything from the States, if you've ever bought, especially the big, the shipping is horrendous. Horrendous coming this way.
Do you know what I find? Do you know what upset's a strong word?
Go on.
Somebody would buy a particular piece and they'd pay, say, a quarter scale bust, and I'd be putting an half scale bust out.
Yeah.
And the same person would argue with me about the price.
Yeah, well, there's different reasons for that, isn't there? And this also used to...
And it used to make me think, am I selling a substandard piece?
I've always said to you, right, so people will, and we won't name names, and we won't name companies, but you're quite right, people will buy from, let's say, for example, the other side of the pond, will buy a piece at what I would consider to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of, for the amount of resin in it, but it's not about the resin, but for a lot of money. And then they try and buy something off of a UK producer,
and ugly,
and they want to knock you for 10 or 5 quid or 20 quid, and you're like, well, hang about, you've just spent this huge amount of money, not just a huge amount of money on the product, but you're paying a huge amount of money on the shipping, and if you get stung for import duty as well, this piece you've bought, this little quarter scale bust, it's frightening how much it adds up to. And I just think to myself, you know, people are doing that. I understand you want a certain piece by a certain sculptor, but for God's sakes, look around and look at what it's costing you.
Well, funny you should say that. Just this last week,
I've
had a guy contact me, and he's a massive
hello
Ping fan. So he likes this. Okay. So he's asked me what the price is on this. Now this retails for £80.
Gives the butchers.
It's by Andy Copeland. It's £80 piece. So I'm basically, I'm in a position where I'm trying to justify this piece for £80, and I'm like, okay,
No,
it's a big piece for £80. It's a big piece for £80, and I offered to post it, and he wanted it for £60. This piece, he wanted to pay £60 for this. So okay, so we met halfway, which is, I don't know why, it's Christmas, I suppose. And then he goes to tell me that he's paid £140 for a small one of the same character. So I'm thinking, honestly, is this one? And he goes, no, the likeness is better on this one.
I mean, not knocking any sculpture.
No.
We can't do it. So
I can't do it.
I'd never knock a different sculpture. But just look how good that is.
Because I said
just look at the detail. Just look at the work on the beard, the hair on the beard. Always my biggest gripe is the hair detailing.
Yeah.
But the sculptor Andy Copeland has
nailed it, hasn't he?
He's absolutely knocked that out of the ballpark. Now I don't care who you are, or how clever you are, or how long you've been doing it, or if you sculpt in traditional clays or not. That is a bloody good piece. And for the price, with the arms and the pack and the flamethrower, you'd be great. And you want to knock people. That's
£60 you had to pay. Posted.
I'll have half a dozen for that.
I said, yeah. And then
eBay's your friend.
That's fair enough. That is, if you can knock me down to £60, that fair play to you.
No, it's not, because the price is the price.
Yeah.
If you're buying three or four pieces, then of course you might get a discount. Try that in America.
Yeah, but
try that. Try.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that? Try going to a US producer. And I'm going to get told off here by all the US producers, so I do apologise before I start, and saying, I want that $50 off, or $40, which is about equivalent to 20 quid. $40.
It wasn't.
good luck with that, because it won't happen.
I get this Del Boy sort of mentality, but then to tell me they've bought something that's half the size for double the price. Wow. Anyway, they're one of the pitfalls that we have. Anyway, let's not dwell on that.
Yeah, no, many pitfalls.
Go on, back to you. So, is there any unfinished businesses, any subject matters that you wish you'd have done or would?
I've still got a list. I'm not going to say what they are, but I've still got a small list of pieces that I would have
liked to have been done.
Yeah, I mean the Hellraiser series would have gone on. You know, that would have gone on, and there'd have been at least another half a dozen of those. At least another half a dozen of those. Which won't now happen, obviously.
Not at this stage, unless your circumstances change.
I can't. It's really. I'm in a funny place at the moment. I can't. I'm not. I mean, never say never, but I can't see me doing it again after having.
So that's it now. They're gone. Nothing's going to ever be produced. It was in you're not selling the company to anyone, to me, to anyone. No, so it's dying with you. So for want of a better expression.
All my moulds and masters are up in my very small loft, and if and when I manage to move, will be stored. If I could I wish I could show people the setup. Because my air compressor is in the loft, and I run a line from the loft down through the loft hatch to the pressure part, and and the same with the.
It really is a well, it isn't it's a kitchen kit, isn't it? Not a garage kit.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It's not a garage kit; it's a kitchen kit.
Did you not have
real palaver?
Did you not have an incident where you were moulding something and the mould burst and it was all over? Did you not have something like that? Now this is a true story, and he's not making this up, because I had quite an irate Keith Cousins on the phone to me about this. Go on.
I was doing a piece again, a piece that was sculpted by Norman Piet in the States. Big up Norm. It was the steampunk Batman. And the mould for that, so I'll mould things differently from other people, possibly. I don't know, And I was moulding the figure, which is a one-piece figure, barring the forearms. So the mould for me was an odd, like a cross, like this. And schoolboy errors, just schoolboy errors. And I boxed it all up, and I'd clayed it all up, and I boxed it all up, and I was ready to pour the first half of this mould. And the first half it's a big mould, the full figure moulds, and Norm's figure sculpts are a nice size as well. They're a bit like the Jaeger sculpts. They're all a good
kind of over 6, aren't they?
Yeah, they're over 1/6. They're a nice sort of size. You've got a nice bit of kit. You pick that up, the weight of the kit itself. Unlike other pieces. Anyway, and it was set in the clay. It was all boxed up, and I started to pour the silica. I used to hot glue the bottom. And then also strap the mould as well, and I thought I'd done it all right. But where I was pouring it on my worktop, I couldn't see the other one particular side of it, and I mixed up this huge amount of silicone, and I was pouring it over it and doing it properly. It had all been double degassed, and it was starting at the shallow end and watching it roll up the figure and push all the petals. I thought, oh, this is lovely. And then just as it got to the top, one of the edges lifted
off the bottom, because
totally. Yeah. So I grabbed hold of the mould as best I could with both hands to push it all to get the walls of the mould together to stop the silicone from flowing out. Although I did lose, a bit.
No, it's not cheap silicone, is it?
It wasn't that, mate. It's the mess. This is my kitchen, and I'm sat there now. Anyone who producers will tell you that silicone, depending what you're using, but it normally takes a while
to go
off. And it does go tacky, and I'm there, and I've got both hands. I thought, what can I do? I'm holding this mould. Have I got to sit here for the next?
It's about 4 hours, isn't it?
2 or 3 hours minimum, because otherwise I'm going to lose all the silicone and the clear up and all the. Oh man! And I literally sat there. I got kitchen towel and started to put the kitchen towel around.
So you're telling me? No, I'm not having this.
I sat there for the best part of 2 hours until it was firm enough, until the silicone had set up firm enough that I wasn't going to lose the whole mould.
So please, you people out there, don't try and jib him down on his model.
And that's just one.
That's commitment.
I had another. I did another one again. Early days, you learn by your mistakes.
Of course you do.
I'd sprayed mould release over the whole piece, and then I hadn't wiped the board it was on before putting the mould cover over and hot gluing. So the hot glue
sticks to the mould.
Was sticking to the. It wasn't sticking to the mould release, and because the minute you start pouring the silicone very slowly,
it's just coming out the bottom.
Yeah, but it don't come out the bottom until you've got it topped up.
And it just goes.
Yeah, and then you. Oh man! But you know, schoolboy errors. You learn, and you learn by your mistakes, as with everything in this life.
So there's projects you might do, but
there's things I wanted to do, which
you didn't do.
You know, it's getting hard and it's getting tough, isn't it? You know, how many characters? As I said to you before, yeah, I don't want to get into another, but there's only so many genres. There's only so many characters. Unless we start moving into the pop world, or I don't know, which people won't buy. But you know, there's only so many films, there's only so many movies, there's only so many actors people want to see, and then you start seeing the same thing over
and over again,
over and over, and then you think, just when you think every scene from a particular film has been done.
I know which character you're talking about.
And don't get me wrong, guys. I love all that early stuff. I love it. That's what I was brought up on, the same as you. All the old Aurora kits and you know, and so on and so forth. I loved all the old horror bits and the Universal stuff. But when you see the same stuff over and over and over again, normally by this.
Do you not get like I do, where you just, it's a shame really, because you'll see it and just go, yeah, and just flip past it.
I admire how clever the sculptor is, how good the sculptor is. I always, it doesn't matter how many times I see.
Yeah.
I look at it and I think, well, you know, that's brilliant. That's
credit where
brilliant.
credit's due.
Yeah, totally.
Credit where credit's due. It's the same. It's not got the wow factor now, has it?
No, yeah, well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. You know, there's only so many Wolfmen or Frankenstein or mummies. And as I said, don't get me wrong, we love these characters. We absolutely love these characters. And in America, they must absolutely love them, because that's where they keep coming from and that's where they keep selling them. I mean, you know, big up, great. You know, thank God Boris Karloff is English. Otherwise,
you've just upset all our American viewers, but there you go, well done. So there is stuff out there to do. Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. And we, like you say, you maybe if you move, but that's maybe not. And just to be clear, guys, I'm not sure. You'll probably enlighten me in a second. They're not available now. He may have some stashed away. Now, he's not kind of doing it to order, because I've asked him for stuff and he said, Dave,
no, that's just you.
I can't. Oh, is it? Right. He says, no,
I've got a few. I do have one or two pieces, but you know, there's not.
You've no desire to climb up to that loft and get that resin out and get your degassing tank out at this stage.
No, it's I'm sadly.
And it is a loss. Take it from me. His stuff is excellent. Bill did a review of the Alice Cooper. The quality is second to none. So it is a loss. And we've lost a few people this last 12 months, Keith. And did Typhoon go as well? Typhoon Studios is now gone?
I believe, sadly enough, again, because they put out some lovely pieces. I think he's on his, I don't want to say last legs, because that sounds like he's kicking a bucket. But yeah, you know, it's tough on producers. People are going to laugh when I say that. It's tough on me. It is tough on producers. Yeah. Look how many back in the old days. Look how many producers there are in the UK.
Yeah.
Let alone in the States as well.
Yeah.
You know, and you could take your pick and you could buy from anybody. And no one give a monkeys. Nobody cared who you bought from.
No.
And part and parcel of going to, for us, it was Memro, wasn't it?
Memorabilia,
you know, is you spread your money around. You bought off of this person, which is what I always try to do. I would always try to buy a piece off of this person, a piece off of that person.
NNT.
You know, I spent most of my money with you. But yeah, NNT, couple of bits off of NNT, couple of bits off of you, couple of bits of whoever was producing at the time.
Yeah, we've lost two.
We've lost two
really good producers,
much.
haven't we, this year? I mean, like I say, I'm not sure what's gone on with Typhoon. I've just been told that Typhoon, which operates out of Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, is going. Yep. I mean, correct me, guys, if I'm wrong, but I know they're.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Folded. Keith's gone, so it's a dying breed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, it's been lovely to speak to you, Keith. I'm glad you stopped by. He's off up to get a tattoo done now.
Going up north.
What are you having done?
Proper north.
What are you having done?
Surprisingly enough, an Alice Cooper.
Oh, this will be good. And who's doing that
Not
for you?
Not going to say too much. Simon Holly.
Simon's on the page. So again,
Simon.
Ollie's head, is it?
Yeah.
Ollie head? Simon, he's a good guy. Simon. I've seen his work. It's brilliant.
Yeah, Simon's work. If you read Ruby Red Tattoo up in Oldham.
Ruby Red, yeah.
Ruby Red.
That's
check out his website. Check out his Facebook page. His portrait work is
it's fantastic,
amazing.
isn't it? Fantastic.
Yeah, just have a look at it.
It must be. You come 3.5 hours, 4 hours to have a tattoo
It's
done.
over 4 and a bit hours.
4 and a bit hours to have a tattoo done. I mean, tomorrow he'll be sat there.
Yeah, but apparently he's buying me dinner and he's taking me to the pub and
is he?
He's letting me stay overnight and
that's
for
brilliant,
free.
that, isn't it? All for free at his house. Oh, it's great.
No. Yeah, but check out his day. He's a lovely fella.
He is a nice bloke. Simon is a nice guy.
I'll see him tomorrow.
You know, Simon does models as well.
Well, that's why I got into kind of knowing him online
through the modelling side.
Through the modelling side, through the American Werewolf in London pieces.
Oh yeah, he loves American Werewolf and Gremlins. Simon
and
does.
The pieces he's put up and and then just befriended him and seen his work on his Facebook page, his tattooing work, his artistry work, or whatever.
So you're off up there tonight, or is it tomorrow? You having it done?
I'm going in about an hour up to that there Rochdale. And,
he's in for some education coming from the big smoke to Rochdale.
I thought it was cold up here.
Got whippets and everything in Rochdale. We've got whippets and flat caps in there, man.
It's not cold at all up here. It's toasty. I've still got my shorts on in London, but
he has. He's got his Bermuda shorts on today. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching the video. It's been great. Please smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Any comments below, let us know. It's lovely chatting to him. If you enjoyed it, we'll get him back on again.
Sorry if I've upset anyone, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'll just say it how it is. So,
it would be Keith if he didn't.
Yeah.
Check it out, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Laters.